Jang Haijun is a passionate detective, suffering from insomnia, and hunted by the unsolved cases of Lee Ji-gu and Hong San-oh. He only gets to see his wife Jung-an once a week, and on this particular occasion, he cooks something nice for them. She wishes he could move to Lipo where she works and resides. Haejun and his partner, Soo-won, get called to a bizarre crime scene. A retired immigration officer, Ki Do-soo, fell off a mountaintop. Haejun and Soo-won get to the mountaintop to investigate further. Haejun finds the deceased's backpack with his belongings and identification intact. His phone is switched off. The corpse is taken to the morgue, and Haejun has the victim's phone charged. His wallpaper is of him and his adult daughter. Haejun tries several passcodes to get the phone unlocked and unravel more. They call in this so-called daughter to identify her father's body, and that's when she clarifies that she's Song Seo-rae, the wife. She's a Chinese immigrant. Seo-rae has a scratch on her hand and doesn't bother to hide her relief over her husband's tragedy. She mentions she doesn't speak Korean well. She provides the pattern to Do-soo's phone at Haejun's request. An autopsy is required because of the nature of Do-soo's fall. There were no witnesses to establish what happened. Haejun reflects for a moment. He believes his wife would act like Seo-rae, expecting luck to finally run out. Further investigation reveals that Seo-rae was a punching bag. Her bruises are well hidden so they don't raise eyebrows. She also has her late husband's initials on her lower abdomen. It's the same manner his other belongings are branded. It is as if she were a mere property of his. In the interrogation room, Seo-rae remains quite odd. Laughter instead of tears even after learning that her husband suffered from a head laceration. Haejun's mind is on the case, even while he's being intimate with his wife. They've been married for almost 17 years now, and Jung-an sees several more weekends together ahead of them. Haejun digs further and learns that Seo-rae is a caretaker for the elderly, working under a company. Her superior and patients have no complaints about her. Haejun and Soo-won begin a stakeout. In Soo-won's opinion, their suspect is a terrible person, but Haejun infers that Seo-rae may be going through stages of grief. Do-soo was a regular climber. Forensics got back to Soo-won, reporting that they found someone else's DNA under their victim's fingernails. They'll need to collect oral epithelial cells from Seo-rae's mouth to compare. Haejun is slowly becoming entranced watching Seo-rae go about her daily activities. It's as if he's in the room with her, and not in his car with binoculars. He calls for her presence at the station, but she refuses to come. Her husband is in the past and she has a job to do. Haejun puts Soo-won in charge of questioning Seo-rae's patients, starting with an elderly woman she cares for on Mondays. Seo-rae shows up at the station to have her mouth swabbed. She explains the scratch on her hand is from a fight with Do-soo. He's crazy about mountain climbing, but she's not. She has scratch marks riddled across her body. She and Do-soo communicated via physical aggression when the language barrier got in the way. Seo-rae confirms that the DNA under Do-soo's fingernails will match hers. Haejun buys her a meal and asks her to freshen up. They soon return to the interrogation room, and Hae-hun brings up her illegal immigration among 37 others. Others were deported, but she was spared. She explains, to everyone's shock, that one of her grandparents is Gae Bong-seok of the Manchurian Korean Liberation Army. She shows proof, and further explains that Do-soo got the Order of Merit from the National Foundation to award her grandfather a nationality certificate. Seo-rae is released. Haejun has bigger fish to fry. He goes into a hot pursuit against Lee Ji-gu, a notorious criminal who's been on the run for years now. Haejun corners him and gets the upper hand. Meanwhile, Seo-rae watches the fight from the safety of her car. Haejun catches Soo-won about to be violent with Ji-gu in the interrogation room. Afterward, the partners argue about each other's approach. Haejun feels Soo-won is violating the suspect's right, and Soo-won thinks Haejun is playing therapist instead of detective, especially when it comes to Seo-rae. Mijo has brought in surveillance footage that provides Seo-rae with a solid alibi. She was attending to her Monday patient at the time of Do-soo's fall. Haejun adds night stakeouts to his investigation, lurking outside Seo-rae's apartment building with his binoculars. On her way to work, she spots him asleep in his car and takes pictures. Now she's aware she's being watched and plays the role expected of her. She portrays a depressed life, seemingly breaking down in tears one night. Haejun thinks she's reached the final stage of grief, unaware that she's playing him. Haejun's supervisor queries him for lingering too long on Do-soo's case. The detective confronts Seo-rae about feeding fentanyl to her mom. Seo-rae recalls it was her mom's wish. She brings out new evidence that throws the investigation in a new light. Do-soo ended his life. Nemesis was threatening to catch up with him after years of bribery and corruption in his field. The deceased sent out one letter to his subordinate that Haejun interprets as a farewell note. Soo-won still thinks there's more to the story. Hae-jun takes cases home with him, pictures and files, and in this case, a former suspect. He plays host, preparing something for her to eat while she stares hopelessly at his notice board of gory images. In her opinion, it's why Hae-jun can't sleep. He points out one case. It's called the Gilgok-doing incident, and he's yet to catch the perpetrator. Seo Ray helps him brainstorm, offering fresh eyes on a stale case. Her help leads him to his breakthrough. He finds Sano's hideout and chases the man when he tries to escape. Cornered, the man chooses to end his life even against his lover's protest. The news calls it a persistent chase. One day, Seo Ray invites herself into Hae-jun's apartment with an agenda. She wants to cure his insomnia. She goes to his notice board and takes off pictorial evidence of unsolved cases, including photo evidence from her husband's case. Then, she burns them on his stove. Hae-jun tries to resist at first, but he knows he's falling for her. She knows this too. She lets him keep a picture or two before the rest get burned. Hae-jun is still having trouble sleeping, so Seo Ray sits by his side and lures him to sleep with the power of imagination. They become fond of each other, teasing each other while on a date at the amusement park. Hae-jun admits that he likes and believes they're alike. Feeling comfortable, he opens up about his job. He's resilient, wanting to avenge victims, especially ones with their eyes frozen in an endless stare. He hates dealing with corpses with open wounds. There's always a pool of blood involved, and he dreads the smell. Seo Ray isn't afraid of blood, but she's scared of heights. They visit a Buddhist temple, and Hae-jun lets her listen to the recordings he made during his stakeouts. He confirms that the recordings can be deleted once the case is closed, so Seo Ray goes ahead to delete them. Hae-jun still has a wife he returns to. She hates cigarettes and gets angry when she smells them on his clothes. She has no idea it's Seo Ray's cigarettes that have etched into his clothes. Unable to sleep, Hae-jun texts Seo Ray. She's on duty. Her Tuesday patient is in bad shape. Hae-jun offers to help out with her Monday's patient while she's preoccupied. He learns Monday's patient has the same model of phone as Seo Ray. While helping her close too many open apps, he finds a step tracker, and it piques his curiosity. Opening it, he sees the usual amount of steps the elderly woman supposedly covered on a Monday morning. He starts asking questions and discovers that the patient has dementia and is housebound. He goes on to recreate the events of the Monday Do-soo was hurt. Surveillance footage shows Seo Ray entering Monday's patient's residence. She must have switched the phones and then escaped through the back door, where there'd be no cameras. She must have taken the easy route to climb the mountain, while Do-soo, a more experienced climber, took the difficult route. This means he must have been facing the opposite end of the cliff, and he wouldn't have noticed Seo Ray emerging from behind until it was too late. After recreating Seo Ray's movement, Hae-jun comes up with the exact number of steps the earlier step tracker showed. He's found his culprit. Seo Ray first notices Hae-jun's sour mood, and then the hiking boots. He's had a lot of time to think and knows Seo Ray is the anonymous writer behind the threatening letters her husband received. He doesn't understand why she couldn't just report Do-soo's maltreatment to the police. She explains that he threatened to send her back to China. She also forged Do-soo's farewell note. While Do-soo was a corrupt immigration officer, he was never physically aggressive with Seo Ray. Hae-jun feels betrayed and used. They'd gotten rid of most of the evidence against her, and she'd used his attraction to her to achieve that. Still, she insists it wasn't all a ruse. Hae-jun remains hurt because he takes pride in his job. Defeated, he instructs Seo Ray to throw the rest of the evidence into the sea, the incriminating phone she swapped. 13 months later, Hae-jun's insomnia is worse. He's moved to Lipo to be with his wife, but is suffering from depression. Seo Ray is in another questionable relationship. A man, Cheol Seong, beats her because he suspects she has a husband who's buying her lavish gifts with his business money. In his absence, her husband Ho Shin calls Seo Ray. Seems they're partners in crime. Hae-jun and Jung-an are at the fish market when Seo Ray and Ho Shin show up. They acquaint themselves. The latter couple mention they've just moved to Lipo. Jung-an and Ho Shin dive deeper into a mundane conversation while Seo Ray and Hae-jun say with their eyes what their mouth can't. Jung-an brings up Seo Ray during a bath. She remarks the woman is beautiful and vaguely remembers the case surrounding her. Jung-an is unaware that Ho Shin is calling the phone she left in the bedroom. Hae-jun gets called in for another case and is surprised to see the victim is Ho Shin. He confronts Seo Ray, who denies being involved. This doesn't change his conviction. A lot of circumstances point at Seo Ray, except one. Their suspect is left-handed and Seo Ray is right-handed. Hae-jun interrogates Seo Ray. Seo Ray claims she went walking at the time of the crime and had no phone on her to track her location, but she can provide an alibi. Ho Shin was a business investor in great debt. No matter how much Seo Ray tries to deny it, Hae-jun feels she's come to his new jurisdiction to torment him. While at her luxurious apartment to get the truth, she claims that she returned home from her walk and found the swimming pool stained red. She drained the pool thinking of Hae-jun because she remembered he once said blood is nauseating. She also scrubbed off clots on the pool tiles and rinsed off the corpse. Hae-jun places Seo-rae on arrest, and she undergoes a lie detector that she passes. The investigation leads to Cheol-seong. Cheol-seong admits he pinned a location software on Seo-rae so he could keep track of Ho-shin. He ended Ho-shin for defrauding his mother, and he states Seo-rae wasn't directly involved in his plot for revenge. Jung-an suspects her husband of plotting with Seo-rae to end Ho-shin. Eager to prove her wrong, he goes digging again and has reasons to believe Seo-rae dropped Ho-shin's phone into the ocean. His partner, Yeon-soo, calls him obsessed and scolds him for letting Seo-rae be. The case is closed and it won't be reopened. There are several questions Hae-jun needs to be answered, so he goes to Seo-rae on Homie Mountain. What he gets is a confession from Seo-rae that she's obsessed with him as much as he's obsessed with her. She still has the incriminating phone from Do-soo's case and hands it to Hae-jun because she wants a reinvestigation. They share a passionate kiss. The police recover Ho-shin's phone, and the text messages on it explain why Ho-shin called Jung-an. He thought Hae-jun and Seo-rae were romantically involved. Hae-jun learns from Cheol-seong that Seo-rae visited his sick mother on the day she passed on. Her passing fueled his anger and motivated him to end Ho-shin. Hae-jun puts the pieces together. Seo-rae gave Cheol-seong's mom fentanyl pills. This time, Hae-jun confronts Seo-rae over the phone, but she keeps talking in circles. Before Hae-jun gets to the beach, Seo-rae abandons her car and phone. She goes towards the shore and digs a hole big enough to fit in. Then she patiently waits for the tide to roll in. Hae-jun frantically looks for her to no avail. He even tries calling for backup, but they won't come. So, on his own, he desperately tries to find her until it's pitch black.